The Dearborn Independent, August 6, 1927, Volume 27, Number 42. Mr. Ford's page of the Dearborn Independent, A Cure for Poverty. At present, there is less poverty in the country than ever before. Our material life is on a much higher level than it has ever been. But before the summit is reached, much has yet to be done. Far more people, however, can be got to relieve poverty than to devote their energies to removing it. Charity is no substitute for reform. Poverty is not cured by charity. It is only relieved. The cause of the trouble must be located and then removed. Nothing does more to abolish poverty than work. Every man who works is helping to drive poverty away. He not only benefits himself, but becomes a benefactor to others. The very best charity we know anything about is to help a man to the place where he will never need charity. Nothing seems more useless than the trouble would take to ease the effects when half the trouble would serve to destroy the cause. We get up all sorts of entertainment and functions to raise money to grant a little temporary benefit, and when we get through, we haven't touched the real problem. Surely, the futility of it all ought to be apparent. It is not the charitable mind that one objects to, for humanity sympathy is a great motive power, and no cool, calculating attitude will take the place of it. One can name very few of the great advances that were not due to human sympathy. It is in order to do something for people that every notable service is undertaken. The trouble is that we have been using this great motive force for two small ends. If human sympathy prompts us to feed the hungry, why should it not give a much greater prompting towards making hunger impossible? If we have sympathy enough for people to help them in their trouble, surely we ought to have feeling enough to help them out of their trouble. But in doing this, we must look beyond the individual to the cause of his misery, not hesitating to relieve him in the meantime, of course, and not stopping with that. It is a curious fact that more people can be got to help relieve poverty than to devote their energies to removing poverty altogether. Men in positions of leadership say, "What can we do?" Well, this is certain. Whatever is done will have to be done by all of us together. At present, there is far less poverty in this country than ever before. Our material life is on a much higher level than it has ever been. But comparing the present with what it ought to be and what it could be, we cannot fail to see that much is yet to be done. How can we do it? Our first duty we owe to ourselves. We must do our best where we are. We must be fair where we are. We must do honest work where we are. No one who throws down his tools is helping to abolish poverty. Whatever we do in the future, we may be sure of this. We shall never be able to make any program go without work. Work is a good quality to be developed. Every man who works is helping to drive poverty out of the world, first his own and then that of his fellow beings. The man who does better and more productive work today than he did yesterday is a social reformer of the highest type. He is doing something genuine. He is squaring his account with the world and helping others to square theirs. Every time a man stops work, he throws that much extra burden on others. He creates that much more poverty in the world. It is not the men who are doing and talking who are solving our problem, but the men who are at work. When they talk, they know what is it about. And after work, the next duty is to think. Nobody can think straight who does not work. Idleness wraps the mind. It is a wonder that we do not hear more about that fact, that the practiced hand gives balance to the brain. Thinking which does not connect with constructive action becomes a disease. The man who has it sees crooked. His views are lopsided. No man can think out our great problems for us. We believe in democracy because we believe that the collective mind is better than the single mind. It is the people thinking together and planning together and acting together that makes the great advances possible. When really put to the test, the people are cool-headed. That is one of the reasons challenges seems to come so slowly. The people do not risk the big mistakes which end in big tragedies. Every age teems with theories requiring only to stand a while before their falsity will be revealed. We don't have to test every theory that is offered. Let it stand. It is right, it will endure. If it is wrong, the public mind simply outgrows it. No one can imagine how much worse off we should be if we followed every theory and every leader that promised us the golden age. So if our progress seems slow, it is only because of the people's carefulness not to make a misstep. But there is a progress being made all the time. Now in this direction, now in that, and then all along the line. And such progress is a social creation. It is the people moving up. And that is the only kind of progress there is. If we have not always gone forward rapidly, there is a very great fact to set against that fact. The human race has not had to retrace many steps because of false moves. One of these false moves would be to make charity a substitute for reform. From the standpoint of efficiency, such a move would be a failure.